You're listening to Were You Still Talking? Okay, let me try an introduction. Here we go. Let's give it a go. All right, welcome back. This is Joel Albrecht again, and today in my studio, I have Justin Alcala for the second time. Check episode 39 for the first time. He is still a novelist, nerdologist, and a Speculative Literature Foundation Award finalist. He has 200 books. Well, at least he's got at least 3: Consumed, The Devil in the Wide City, and Dim Fairy Tales, plus dozens of short stories. He's published everywhere. His social media sites are massive. There'll be links in the, what's it called? The notes, the show notes. That's what it's called. This is a podcast. Justin, thanks a lot for coming back on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I remember the last one was fun, so I thought we should have you back. Me and all my team.
Hey, what's going on as a team?
So I got a new ring light, so I hope I look better this time.
I was about to say you look 20 years younger.
Yeah, well, I had
like you're 15.
Interesting. I was talking to a guest who is also an author a couple of podcasts ago, and we were talking about getting blood from 18 to 20-year-olds infused into older people and how that could be the answer to living to 350.
You know, I think someone tried that in history. I forget who it was in like Romania. One of the duchesses or baronesses used to bathe in blood. I think it ended with her being executed.
That makes sense. And wasn't Dracula based on a real person?
Yeah, by Vlad Tepes.
Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad Tepes of Wallachia. Right. Yeah,
he did a lot
I actually
of weird
visited
things.
his castle.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Consumed plays around with Bram Stoker. It's an homage to Bram Stoker. And I had the privilege of going to Transylvania, Romania. I stayed in a town called Sibiu. And it is like, I don't know if you've seen or if you've read the books or if you've seen the movie, and you kind of go up and there's that scene where like you're looking down, the wagon's just barely on the mountain. Well, that's real. We took a travel van up there, and I turned to the side, and I wish I didn't, because I'm not afraid of heights, but it is just treacherous. It is horribly scary, but totally worth it. If you don't die, totally worth it. You know?
That sounds amazing. I've seen at least 5 Dracula movies, and I've seen, I don't even know if it's the latest, but the Gary Oldman one, which I consider the real story. That's like the biography of Dracula, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that has that scene for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the funny story is, because I've been petitioning for a while now. Now you've got me already. Well, we're 5 minutes in. I'm already getting on a soapbox. Now, the only catch with that, I love Gary Oldman's Bram Stoker's Dracula, but there is a misnomer that they put into people's heads who have not read the original book. Mina, who is the main female protagonist, she never falls in love with Dracula. She's never his resurrected bride. She is Jonathan Harker's main squeeze. She's the smartest person in the group, and she helps fight Dracula, who is a villain in the original books. I have a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I've read Dracula before, and the best way to test them is like, what did you think about the love triangle between all 3 of them? And if they say, oh, I think it's pretty good, I'm like, aha, you didn't read the book.
Well, you would like the series I started watching then. I forgot about that. I can't remember if it's Amazon or Netflix. Sorry, networks that don't sponsor me, but it's it's
you can reach out to Joel Albright at www. Right.
Dracula in this series is frightening, and the protagonist, the hero, what is his name?
Van Helsing?
Van Helsing is a nun.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I caught the first one, and it was pretty solid. It was pretty good.
It's pretty interesting. And Dracula in that one, which I did read the book, and Dracula in that is the monster, nothing but.
Yeah, he's the antagonist.
Yeah.
Solo shot first, Dracula is the antagonist. We need T-shirts like that. Yeah, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy. There's nothing real.
No, he's not the
broken,
tragic lover.
Right.
No.
No.
But otherwise, I'm bashing it a lot. But actually, I grew up on that Dracula, and I love it. That's the one piece that irks me. I'm like, no, why'd you do that? That's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, they also put Keanu Reeves in it. Right, that's a
what? No,
it's good.
Oh, poor Keanu.
I have to admit, as an action hero, he's really, really amazing. But I don't know. That seemed like a uncomfortable fit for him. It seemed a little off.
Almost as bad as his. Now I'm dating myself. His video where I almost said Mariah Carey, but it's not Mariah Carey. Hush Hush or whatever it's called. Have you? What is her name? She does 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. 90s. Oh, what is her name? I'm dying here.
Yeah,
don't help me out.
I'm trying to remember. I know who you're talking about. I know the song you're talking about. I'm totally losing it. I can't look it up because I did that on my last podcast and my Pro Tools recording stopped.
Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
Paula Abdul. He's
the dancer.
Okay, he is brutal in that one too. In that video, it's just painful. They're trying to create this beautiful love scene, and the entire time it's just pretty much like Keanu Reeves in Dracula, where she's like, what? I love you. And you're just, oh man. I remember even as a kid thinking this is painful. This is painful.
I grew up on some of the original Draculas. That's how much older I am.
Those are creepy. They're really good.
They're really good. They're really good. I love Gary Oldman and I love that telling of the story. But there's still some elements that they had to depend on so much more sort of creating the monster from acting and lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
There wasn't special effects. It was just the guy was creepy.
Yeah. Bela Lugosi is a creepy man.
He is.
All you need is a flashlight on his eyes and a close-up of his face, and you're weirded out. That creeped me out. The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. I mean, those are creepy. Yeah. Those are creepy, and there's no special effects. There's no nothing. They're just, and to this day, I always watch it every year. I break it out. And the original Night of the Living Dead is just
unmatched.
It shakes you.
It's unmatched, and it's all because it's like Jaws. It's because the budget.
Yeah,
it's like we don't have any money, so we're just gonna do this without lights. And that's scary.
Exactly. I didn't know about Jaws. Was Jaws there on a low budget?
Jaws was an extremely low budget even for the time. It's also it went way over budget. Oh, there's a really good book about the making of Jaws that you'd probably love. It's at least 20, and it's got to be 30 years old. And I can't remember the name of it, but it goes into the whole history of it, how they made it, all the almost day by day. But the reason it's so good, less good now because we all have special effects, is the shark kept breaking. So the name of the mechanical shark is Bruce, and it didn't work for the first half of the movie, or we would have seen it. So everyone goes on about, you don't see the shark. Yeah, because it was broken, and it was so, it made it brilliant. It also, the director's okay, and
what was his name again? Spielbergo?
Something like that. Some page from the Universal lot.
Where's that loser now?
But what has he done lately?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But that's also showed his brilliance. Is this isn't working. We're going to keep filming. I have to keep filming because it's got to be done because I got this much money and it's getting cold. He's filming in a place that's going to be really cold very soon. He's got to get it done. So he just kept filming stuff that he could film. When it finally worked, they filmed the end scenes. It was about the last 30 minutes of the movie. And it's just so much better because of that. It's so much better.
I mean, and I don't know if... Yeah, obviously it was part of the budget, but I am under the strong opinion that the things that are most creepiest it's when you leave the monster in the shadows. I mean, and you can even look at Blair Witch. No one, you never see the witch.
You never see the witch.
Anything.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you watch it now and you're like, ugh. But when I first watched it, I was like, what the?
It's funny, when I first watched it, I thought, God, this is stupid. And it's mainly because I'm not afraid of camping. And it was like, oh, camping is scary. That was
right. Fair enough. I'm a city boy.
I love camping. Yeah, I love the woods.
I'm a city boy.
Oh yeah. So I mean, to me, and statistically, you're in a lot more danger in the middle of Chicago than you are, in the woods in Oregon. It's just, you're a lot less likely to be attacked by a mugger in the woods.
Right.
Which is maybe.
But it does go back to the old saying. What is it? Lovecraft said it. The oldest and strongest emotion.
Right.
Mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is the fear of the unknown.
Right.
It's if you can put things in the background, which these low budget people do, people are creeped out, and I'm one of them. You start getting in my face with it immediately, and I'm turned off.
Well, it's
I
interesting.
Don't buy it.
Right. Well, it's like Alien. They planned to not show the monster. That was a plan, and the only reason they showed it so soon in Aliens is because they didn't want to make the same movie. The director said, well, I don't want to make the movie over, so I'm going to show the monster.
The late 80s and early 90s were so great at just making everything into an action movie. And I really mean that. Like,
it's true.
They took a horror movie and they were like, let's give everyone guns and Marines. Let's do it.
Guns and Marines. And still, I found, in my opinion, a great movie. It's not Alien, but it's still fun.
Yeah, for sure. But it's 80s and 90s. Everything was, let's make it into like a Schwarzenegger movie.
That's funny. I don't think they're over that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I follow this great group on Facebook called Cruise Stories, and believe it or not, it's about crews and their stories. Film crew.
Who would have thunk it?
But there was a post on there about Beverly Hills Cop because it was the anniversary of the release recently or something, and it was talking about how that movie was going to be an action movie, and they went through all these actors, and they had Stallone on board, and when Stallone stepped in, he rewrote it, and he wrote out the comedy, and he wrote all these action scenes in, and then 2 weeks or something before it was going to shoot, he dropped out for some reason, or he decided he wasn't going to do it. So they grab Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy comes in and says, I'm not going to do that movie. So most of those, a lot of the scenes that are funny are literally just on the spot. We're doing this now.
How serendipitous. That gives hope to people anywhere. Just stick with it, and just because it's not the forte, hey, once you show up, you might make it its new thing.
That's true. That's true.
Comedy action.
Which is right.
Who'd have thunk it? Yeah.
Didn't exist. It didn't exist, and no one knew if he could do a movie. The guy had never done a movie before, but
Right. I mean, back in the day, that was like he was on SNL. What else did he really do?
I think that was right. I think that was about it. So pretty shocking.
Interesting. That is pretty cool. That is cool, though. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I love those kind of stories.
On a side note, I don't know. This is if you notice, this is a green screen for real. The Christmas setup here. I thought I would make it cool for. I
thought
Christmas.
That was actually your house where you were sitting.
No, actually, no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Actually, it is.
You threw me.
My house.
I thought
house.
It was a green screen.
When we were starting it off, my terrible sense of humor, I was going to have a Christmas book open. And hello, Joe. And then I decided, cut that. That's going to be really dumb. Which it would have totally.
I think that would have been great. Well, I got a new studio while we're.
Look at that! Beautiful. I love those lights. Is that a sauna in the background over there to the left?
No, that's a vocal booth.
I know nothing about podcasting. That'd be great. Sauna and a podcast.
Man. That's probably.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Good idea. It's probably a mastering studio.
There is someone who's like writing that down right now. Like, New idea. But I have been reading a lot of strange and weird things about Christmas, which I love. And let me tell you, Christmas, I don't know if you're aware or not, back in the day, before it became all Hallmarky, it's a pretty creepy holiday.
Oh, is it? I've always been.
Man.
It's always been interesting to me, the sort of the history of Christmas and how it came about, and how I actually was talking at a party, a Christmas party years ago, and I was saying how most of these traditions come from pagan rituals, and because they wanted, to put it at the time of year when all these people already celebrated, and it makes it easier for them to adapt to it and to accept it. And this one woman was like, "Where do you get this stuff?" Like, she didn't believe me at all. She didn't believe me at all. No,
she thought you were just making it up.
She thought, I guess so. And I was kind of shocked because I thought everyone knew. I thought this was kind of common knowledge.
It's really cool. Really. If you're like if you like the darker side of things, if you shop at Hot Topic, it's really interesting. I shop at Hot Topic, but who am I kidding? I'm a parent. I don't shop for myself anymore. But it sounds like you already know the whole Celtic thing. I mean, you just got to think about it. It was cold. Things died. People died. Diseases started getting around because people were in houses. It was real spooky. It was before Catholicism kind of stretched out its wings. I mean, that's what it was. It was a sort of celebration of of death, of the winter solstice, and then Catholicism, which was really good at doing, started adopting oh yeah, you could still believe that if you want. Just remember, Jesus is the best. And they started picking up everything and sort of amalgamating it into one culture. And it still was pretty rough and tumble. Like, you have records of in the 16th, 17th century, it was like trick or treat for adults. They would go door to door, drunk as skunks, asking for more booze, and they would carol. And if you didn't give them the stuff, you're getting something bad. You're getting a black eye or something like that. So you would have booze ready on Christmas and give it to all the paupers, and they would carol for you. And you can tell there's a lot of songs about give us some figgy pudding, or we won't go until we get some, which is literally them seeing a threat, give me something.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So really, Bill Murray had the right idea.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, it was interesting. And you can even see, recently I listened to and then reread the Nutcracker again. And even that, which is a holiday favorite, that's a creepy story.
It's a creepy story. We were just watching the Christmas parade, and they had what are they called? The Rockettes did the Nutcracker with the Nutcrackers, the scene with the Nutcrackers, and for one, they didn't have shorts on, so something was messed up. But it it was creepy. It's just those costumes and the dance that they do.
Oh, totally,
it's creepy.
I'm just thinking about it now. But even the plot that the ballet was inspired off of. Uncle Dossamer, Godfather Dossamer, comes over and gives these kids gifts, and he totally lies and manipulates to get the daughter in an adventure. But she's 7 years old and in love with the Nutcracker, and by the end of it, he marries her. He's he turns into a real grown man of 20 or 30, and she's 7 or 8. And he proposes and marries her by the end of it. So it is, and I understand different time. I understand there's historians that right now are saying, when you got to be 12 or 13, women were started to be courted. But
sure, 7.
Yeah, that's when we start. You're talking about a little girl. It gets weird. It gets really weird, and it was graphic, murder and killing and. Mice throats. It was pretty brutal. But yeah, Christmas didn't become what it is until what we know as this commercialized thing. Early 1900s. But before that, it was.
That's what I thought. I mean, I've heard some stories that the popular image of Santa Claus. I mean, I'm sure it depends on who you ask, but I've read a couple articles that said the image we have of Santa Claus is actually from a Coke commercial.
Yeah,
and that most of a lot of the things that we do now are really because of Macy's and Coke and people who wanted to sell stuff.
Yeah, follow the money. Follow the money. Yeah, Saint Nick was originally from a newspaper article, and then Coca-Cola took it and branded it and put him in. He used to wear blue and greens, and they put him in Coca-Cola red, and there we go.
So that's why words red.
Oh yes, of course. It's all marketing. But I mean, before that, like even the Victorian era, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of the author, big fan of him, M.R. James. He's like the original ghost story guy from England. He was a professor, real smart scholarly historian, but he was famous for ghost stories that he wrote during Christmas and would read to his students.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think if you're English, you're like, duh. Yeah, we all know that. But I never knew that until I started really reading his biography. But yeah, very interesting stuff. That like ghost stories were bigger in December than they were in October long ago.
Wow. I guess that makes sense because it's even darker. And
I mean, dark at 3:00. Well,
yeah. I've always liked the solstice celebrations because all the ones that I've seen, it's about celebrating the coming of the light. You're celebrating really it's the beginning of winter, but it's also the beginning of light coming back, like coming back to the world, the end of darkness. So,
man, I would love. I don't know if you've ever been part of it. I have written Wiccans and asked them, can I watch one of your festivals? Because I've written a couple things. I wrote A Forest Only Whispers. It's a short story. It's only about 10,000 words, but it's about a witch's coven. And when I was writing it, I was like, man, I'm doing research, but I would just love to see someone do a ceremony on Mabon. And I wrote a couple, and they pretty much were like, "F off, you weirdo." But I would. It would be so cool to see a solstice festival or anything like that. I just don't think there's anything around here. My few feeble attempts have always failed, but I think it's a cool idea. Totally.
There's a lot of celebrations around here, but probably not true Wiccan. They
right.
They do a lot of solstice celebrations, and also Native Americans did solstice, both summer and winter. That was a big part of a lot of Native cultures. Is like those two parts of the year were really powerful, and it had more to do with harvest and stuff, and those kind of things.
Native American lore is so interesting. And I understand that it is also, their stories and their legends are part of their religion, so they try to just keep it as internal as possible, which I respect. But that's another, man, I would love to just see some of their I've seen some of their public ceremonies that they do, but a winter or a summer sort of
well, you can go to the Southwest. And
can you?
You can. You go there, because I've been in Native American ceremonies. And
oh, have you?
Interesting route that I was introduced to. I don't want to name drop, but it was someone doing a movie, and so he met with this Native American medicine man to basically learn more about the culture, even though this actor is part Native American. And so I knew a friend of his, and he stayed in contact with this guy, and so we did the ceremonies quite a bit. It actually kind of opened my belief system a lot, because when you go into, he always said, when you go into a nipi, when you come out, you're naked again, and it totally feels that way. Like when it's basically going into it's hard to describe, and it is a ceremony that's very private, so I won't try too hard.
So I have two questions for you.
Sure.
One, did they tell you have to swear that you're not going to really talk too much about it?
No.
or anything like that? Okay.
No.
I'll jump in on why I even asked such a stupid question. But 2, you don't want to name drop, but what does his name rhyme with, the actor? Just, you can give me like a hint. And if I guess it, then you didn't name drop. You just kind of played my game.
It's not like anyone I know anymore. Let's see. I'm trying to think. It's pretty hard to think of a rhyme.
Chameleon Vestevez?
No, but he was in movies with him.
Oh, okay.
His name rhymes with Sue. And he's a 3-namer.
Oh, he's a 3-namer, huh?
Yeah.
Is he still popular in?
He's still very popular. He was just in another series in I think they filmed in New Mexico. So he still does. And he played a Native American in the series.
Wes Studi, is it?
Oh no, no. He's Native. I would love to meet Wes Studi. Also, what interesting thing about Native American ceremonies is the one we were in was very gentle as far as they go. It was a Navajo ceremony, and if you start freaking out, you can step out, or you can say I'm freak. You can kind of react. There are other ceremonies which you would probably want to do if you for one, you kind of have to be invited, so you have to go and get friendly with people and tribes. But the Cheyenne, I think it was Cheyenne and the Sioux and some different tribes, when they do these ceremonies, you're basically put in a really, really hot box, it's not really a teepee, it's a small ceremony thing. And they put hot rocks in there, and it's like a steam bath, basically. And in a lot of tribes, it's like if you come in, you have to stay in till we're done singing. We're done with what we're doing. And so cool. That sounds brutal. I mean, I never felt the need to go out, but it was nice to know that if I needed to. But I guess some can be like. A friend of mine did that, and he said he was trying to dig himself into the mud to cool off.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's like a cleanse. It's a serious cleansing. It's pretty amazing. I was really honored to be invited to do that.
And that's the thing. I hope anyone listening, if they are Native American, it is. I hope I don't sound like it is a Disney World attraction. I understand how powerful and respectful I'm trying to be, even though it's probably coming out of my mouth poorly. What you're saying seems super badass, and I would love to see it.
It's an amazing experience, and there are people doing it for just anyone. In Oregon, anyway, I know there's a lot of people they're pretty invite anyone to do it, but it's a different experience than if you go to an actual Native ceremony. Do you know who Ansel Adams is?
Ansel Adams, 1 second.
He's a photographer, but that's not who I was thinking of. Curtis. There's a photographer named Curtis who was trying to take pictures of the last of the Native Americans. He started in the late 1800s. He was from Seattle, went into like the 1930s, I think, and he was trying to take pictures of them before they were gone because he knew they were going to be gone. And he would ask them to dress in traditional dress and all this. But the way he started was he basically stumbled on a tribe that was about to do this Sundance ceremony that's really sounds crazy to me. And they invited him to watch, which is extremely rare. So this is the cool ceremony where they put the 2 hooks in you. And they pull you up. It's I can't remember. I think it's Lakota Sioux, but it's just one tribe that does this. It's in a movie called A Man Called Horse.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, so it's brutal, but supposedly for the one going through it, it's completely transformative. Like it's the biggest honor you can have as a brave. And I always thought, and very few people have seen a real one, non-natives.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah,
powerful stuff. Man, I would love to. But anyhow, yeah, I couldn't even get a local teen group of Wiccans to invite me to their Mabon ceremony, so I stand no chance.
Yeah, you actually just have to drive out to the Southwest and meet some people, I guess. Yeah.
So
they are researching a book.
Yeah, no kidding. So the good news is, to shamelessly plug, I think last time I was on, I couldn't talk about something yet because the press wanted to go ahead and do the followed schedule of things. But I have a new book that's coming out October 2021, A Dead End Job. And the reason that I even talk about it is because we were talking about it last time, which my research started with me peeing on Don Gillinger's death spot in an alley.
Okay, so that was part of that. I remember. I re-listened.
Right.
I re-listened to the podcast, and so I remembered that story. And I'm glad you got to that because that was on my list to ask about.
Well, it's funny that you say that because one of the Parliament Press, a fantastic book people. I'm very excited to work with them. Their marketer listened to our episode, and he said I was on a author board about comedy and for the Miami Book Fair, and he was the moderator, and he was like, "Hey, can you tell people the pee-pee story?" And so, you know, I don't even know if it went like that. I might have been pushing and been like, "You want me to tell the pee-pee story? I'll tell the pee-pee story." But I think he lightly mentioned it and beforehand, and I was like, "Okay, I'll tell the pee-pee story." But yeah, the pee-pee story is starting to become a thing now with this. But yeah, long story short, research for that, it wasn't too hard because it takes place in a place I grew up in, Chicago. But the one important part is my father was in the military. A lot of my relatives were in the military. I never went in the military, but then my best friend growing up since second grade was in the military. And running into all these military people and sort of rubbing elbows with them, you learn two fantastic things about them. One, life does not stress them out like life stresses us out, the common man, because once you see, and I'm not talking about, like, no disrespect to anyone who is this person, but I'm not talking about the person who's in the army who, fluffs a pillow. We need those people too. I'm talking about the people who smash mouth, were shooting at people and people were shooting at them. I noticed those are the folk. That's who I'm cornering in on. Those folk, you give them your problems and you feel stupid afterwards for talking to them about it. Right. They have this, and they never say anything. The couple of buddies that I have, because they all smoke, they'll, yeah. That's quite a problem. And then they'll wait a couple stories, and then they'll be like, so I'm in Afghanistan, right? And
they're saying, oh, so your dishwasher broke?
Yeah, right. I'm like, I only get to sleep till 8 these days. I'm still tired all day.
Oh man. Yeah. Now it's the doctors and nurses that are in that situation,
my gosh.
right?
Yeah, my wife is a doctor, and let me tell you, it is stressful for her.
Right. It's got it's got to be, because I keep thinking how it's getting pretty hard. It's like on month 9, and I want to go to the Southwest. I'm there. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to all these places. I do want to hug people. I know some people don't care, but I do want to hug people. Right. But I'm not on the front line. Like, the people working in hospitals are literally on the front line, and every community is slowly getting hit harder and harder. And, yeah.
They're another group of people I have mad respect for, and talking to my wife after a rough day is also one of those times where I just embarrass myself, where I'm just like, oh man, the kids were just so bad today, and I wrote this chapter, and da-da-da. And she'll be like, yeah, you met that kid I was telling you about 2 days ago? He passed away. And you're like, okay, I'm going to shut up now. I'm just going to...
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's tough. These poor people, man. Holy smokes. And we're lucky that... We're lucky, my wife and I, that we're in a region that maybe is not spiking at the moment as bad. But that's not a good thing, because even my wife is seeing horrible things. and she's in the middle of the pack. You know,
And
she's
it's not Spike.
Yeah,
That's what's scary.
she's not in New York City or anything like that. You know, we moved out of Chicago just before this, so we dodged that. But we're still in the second largest city in Georgia, so we're not seeing the scary numbers that maybe like a New York City or LA is seeing. But it's just horrible to see it. It's horrible to listen to her talk to her friends and it be so casual. Not just how. And sorry, I'm getting real serious here all of a sudden. I'll throw a poop joke in there after this. But no, just to see them talk about how people are passing away, including some of their own staff passed away, and it just be like a regular conversation, you and I talking about like, you know, Keanu Reeves's acting skills. Yeah,
Right.
It's just it's sad. Yeah, really,
it's sad, and it's really tough because this wasn't. You know, when you're military and you sign up for combat, you have an idea that you are going to combat. I don't think many people know what that means until they get there. I mean, I've talked to some soldiers, and I've talked to some people who are like years away from it and they're having problems. But you know, until you get into that situation, and there's no way a movie can describe it. Like there's all these movies about combat. It's like, I know that's not the same as being in a situation where you might get shot and you're there for a year or more, and most of the time you're bored to death. It doesn't, but you still know you might be shot. They didn't sign up for that. Right. They as a doctors and nurses, you signed up to save other people. You never thought there would be you think way in the back of your mind, because all medical people know that this could happen. I mean, they know this, that diseases can get bad. Right. But you're not thinking, oh, it could be me on the front line. I could be risking my life every day I go to work.
I think, I think most doctors, nurses, or just anyone in the hospital, I think they thought of it the same way a person who moves to Seattle thinks that a volcano can explode and destroy them. Right. It's true, technically. Yeah. But statistically, it's probably not going to happen. I don't think anyone signs up thinking it is going to happen. But I think you have to have a lot of empathy for these people, because the worst thing you could do to irk anyone in the medical field off is to say, well, you signed up for this. No, I didn't. No, I don't think anyone signed up for this. No. Yeah, but they're, my and the support, I think the support they're getting is disgusting. Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's like, I mean, hopefully, I think that's going to change in a very short time, around January 21st. But crossing my fingers. Yeah, I really think there'll be some major changes, because I know who the governors are, and I know what they're, telling the future leader. But it's just tough. It's been brutal to watch, to see that a country with billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that could be shifted to helping them has not been. And it's really nuts. I mean, the states are doing a lot, and they're doing what they can, but I mean, it's I'm not going to hide my feelings about it. It's a joke. But I know that someone maybe 10 years from now is going to find this podcast and kind of like, you think that's the government's a joke. I got it. But currently, I think it's kind of embarrassing. But let's hope it gets better. Holy smokes! Let's hope. I've lost a lot of hope. How could you not? How could you not? How could you not? I mean, there was a guy that was all about hope and change from Chicago not very long ago. I don't remember his name. So Mama. Yo Mama. That's right with your mama. I just figured that out now. Now we're going to be in trouble. Now we're going to be racist because let's backtrack. Cut this part out. Well, anyhow. Edit. It's oh well. It's really a shame though. What's going on, and it is. But it also highlights stuff that I knew was wrong in government for a long, long time. I can't blame one side or the other. I would love to, and I do, and all my Facebook friends blame the other tribe, and I definitely jump on that wagon. But then I step back and go, okay, but how many Right.
How many crimes has my side committed? They pushed a candidate that I didn't believe in this year, and they did it extremely underhandedly, and so I have a lot of hope, more hope than I had now for what's going to happen. But I just mean that both sides are really based on, they're so based on money now, which is what my candidate wanted to try to change. And the people getting him put into place are money people.
I think you always follow the money, right? And I mean,
like I have nothing to say about who's next president.
I have some
nothing.
I have very good friends who have completely different political aspirations than I do, or just political perspectives than I do, and we get along just fine. I think the problem is you start following that money. The money is everything. The money is, it's what all the trail campaigning, everything like that. If you can take that money out, you're going to fix a lot of problems. But the money is also what they push to divide, and that's all sides. Because my neighbor who might be opposite side of the field to me as far as politics go, it is harder this time around to justify it, but still, they're not my enemy. They're a person who thinks we should run the government a certain way. And to be honest, I don't want to sound too much like a conspiracy theorist, but if we're using the whole checks and balances that was supposed to be created, we're supposed to have a balance. There's supposed to be this many of this side and this many of this side with this perspective and this perspective. Somewhere around the system broke, and all you have to do is follow the money to figure out what happened. So quite the shame.
I still blame it on Reagan. That's where it's started.
Don't tell Michael J. Fox that. Alex P. Keaton, I should say.
Alex P. Keaton, not Michael J. Fox. I think he has the opposite opinions. That's
what was it? Family Ties? My wife's name is Mallory.
Family Ties.
My wife's name is Mallory, and one day she was having a very significant conversation. I was a fly on the wall, and she was having a very significant conversation with her mom and dad, who are very cool people. And she looked at her dad and her mom and dad and said, "Why did you guys name me Mallory again?" And her mom went into this very beautiful, poetic sort of reasoning why. And at the end, my father-in-law Fred was just staring at it. He's like, "Really? I thought we named her after that girl in Family Ties." And you just saw my wife's face drop. Well,
oh man!
But
that's another interesting Hollywood story where the father from that show has been getting a little more attention lately because he's on like number 7 of the Tremors movies.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he's the only person that stayed in every single movie, and you forget that that's where he came from, was Family Ties, and he was going.
Because he's the gun-toting character, right?
He's the gun-toting character. He's the one that knows all about them, and he's gonna save the day, which is it's pretty funny. And going into Family Ties, he was the star of the show. He was like he was a well-known actor, and they hired him to be the star. And pretty quickly that all ended. It was like
he took a back seat.
He had to take a back seat because someone popped up.
This entire time when we're talking about it, all I hear is, "What will we do, baby?" I can't help it. It's in the background.
I even forgot that song.
I might need to start. I'll play it in the background here. Oh no.
Oh no! Then I won't be able to put the podcast on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. They snub you.
They get all pissy. Even Apple will pull a podcast for whatever reason.
Will they?
Yeah, they're starting to. I mean, that's kind of the downside of if you get popular. Like if you get popular enough, then people start getting pissy about what's on your podcast.
Which I have totally noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to popular podcasts and listen to the first ones, I mean, they are, if you listen to some of the stuff I listen to, you're talking about Joe Rogan. Yeah, I listened to the last podcast on the left. I don't know if you heard of them. They are really raunchy in the early ones, and then you kind of see them clean up. They're still pretty touch and go, but compared to their early ones when they weren't as popular, they're a lot more they're a lot more dialed back than they were back in the day. But yeah, so hopefully if all goes well in a year, I'll reach out to you, and you'll be both sponsored by Coca-Cola, and you won't have jerk offs like me telling stupid fart jokes and
no, you'll be so huge that I'll be happy to have you on.
Well, we'll see. Maybe from the pizza,
could be
from the COVID 50 that I'm getting here. But going back, sorry, I'm all over the place. Going back, military people, holy smokes!
Yes.
Best sense of humor in the world, hands down.
That's true, huh?
Man, yeah. I don't know how many friends you have in the military, but yeah. So to pseudo plug the book, the book is a dead end job. Marking this on my checklist. Let's talk about dead end job, because you and we talk, and you let me talk too much, and then I just go on about different rants. So I got a rubber band on my finger. Talk about the book. So dead end job. Long story short, it's a absurdist fiction. Buck is a former veteran, like all veterans, who is kind of once Uncle Sam's done with them, kind of spits them out and good luck in life, and
right.
So he has a lot of tragedy happen. He had a rough upbringing in Chicago. He gets spit out by the Army, and now he's a trained killer. And then tragic things happen to him, and he becomes broken, and so he starts to become a hitman. But this is supposed to be absurdist fiction. It's supposed to be funny. So as dark as it sounds, he's got a great sense of humor through all of it, and almost immediately. I'm not giving anything away. He dies. And instead of going to the fiery pits of hell, Death wants a vacation. So he offers Buck an internship. While he goes on vacation, Buck's going to go ahead and he gets Grim Reaper's scythe, which ends up turning into, this perfect sniper rifle that I had to ask actual military people about, and goes around killing supernatural creatures that are trying to cheat death. And then a bunch of shenanigans kind of unravels, including John Dillinger the vampire and a couple of other couple of different characters. But
nice.
I think, I just went through another phase of editing it. I wrote it like 2 years ago, and I kind of modernized it while going through the many, many edits that my editor said needed to happen, and I 100% agree and told her I need more of these. But I think all together, it's a pretty funny book, and I think the only reason that's really funny is because I knew enough people with good sense of humors that I smashed them, crammed them into this book that's completely ridiculous, but oh so funny.
It sounds to me like the next Netflix series. That's
www.justinalcala.com. Email me at Justin.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get away with it. You don't need many actors, especially in this era. Just a couple, right?
Well, actually, I'm really shocked how they're filming shows now. They're filming Walking Dead, and they're filming Fear the Walking Dead, and they're This Is Us. All these shows that I watch.
How are they doing it?
They're doing it by who knows for sure, but what they're saying is they're actually building a bubble. They're building a bubble for them. They're living in a bubble, and they're doing, they test, before the day they're going to shoot or the day before. They show up in a mask. They rehearse in a mask. Everyone that doesn't need to be closer than 6 feet is not closer than 6 feet. So they're doing all the COVID-19 procedures right up until they're going to shoot. When they're going to shoot the scene, pull the mask off, shoot. As soon as they're done with the take, they're back to the COVID stuff. So it seems pretty safe. And there's, some, I can't remember which one got shut down. They have had to shut down productions because people have tested positive, but it sounds like it's doable. And for me, I've always thought things are doable.
Right.
The real problem is people don't want to follow what's recommended. So,
just look at sports. NBA and
Right.
NHL knocked it out the park. I think there was
Right, and
you know,
the NFL seems to be screwing it up.
NFL, MLB.
I don't know
MLB got lucky
yeah.
because I don't think, if I remember the numbers, it was as bad as it is right now. It was
True.
still horrible.
Well,
it was still horrible, but I think
Yeah.
the last time I looked at the scale, it keeps going like this.
Yep.
So
Unfortunately,
what was horrible then is now not as horrible as what it is now. And I could be wrong on that. So
Nope, you're correct. I look at the numbers too much. My wife reminds me if I happen to look away, and we're the highest ever, and we've never been this high. Yeah, I think it's the highest in the world, but we're still winning. We're number one.
Right,
And,
USA.
exactly. That's it.
Embarrassing.
Depressing.
Yeah.
So with the NFL, like the Ravens had to keep putting off that game they're supposed to play now. It's going to be Wednesday, or it was. It was yesterday. So the story there is, from what I understand, it was a trainer who didn't follow procedures.
Yeah, he just didn't follow the rules. Just follow the rules.
Yeah, just follow the rules. And
that's all you have to do. Is follow the rules.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're
it's like, come on, this is millions of dollars on the line, and you still can't get people to follow the rules, which, that goes into all this crazy stuff.
It's brutal, and I don't want to be holier than thou, because there's been a couple times when, like, I go outside and I'm walking the dog sort of thing, and I realize while I pass someone I didn't put my mask on, because I tried as a courtesy put a mask on while I'm passing the bike, so we're sharing a sidewalk,
right?
Yep. Yeah, and I'll say, dang it, man, you did not do that, wake up. So I will mess up every once in a while. My frustration, everyone's going to mess up. I think it's the blatant, I don't care, just going to disregard the rules. It's not going to happen to me. And I think part of it is psychosomatic, because the people who haven't had it yet, they're going on like 7-8 months of thinking like, I would have gotten it already. So they're doubling down.
Yeah.
But that's the worst thing you could do. No, you haven't got it for 7 or 8 months because you've been following the rules, for the most part. But the brain is a weird thing.
And you might have. I might have had it.
Right.
I've not had the test. The test that would tell me if I had it.
I've had it twice.
Oh, you have?
I've taken it just because my wife's in the medical field, so we want to check ourselves out as much as possible. Because she could just step into the wrong thing.
Well, you've taken the test for COVID, but there's a test to tell you if you've ever had COVID.
Yes, I've not taken that. No,
I forgot what that's called. But anyway, I think that would be interesting, because someone like myself who is, I have the right blood type, I take vitamin D, I am fairly healthy. My chances of getting it and not knowing it are pretty high. It's like 90% chance I would have no idea. So I may have had it. The only reason I don't think is because I've been sequestered. I haven't done a lot of social interaction.
Boarded up your doors.
Pretty much boarded up my doors. And the people, I understand kids, which is a lot of it, because we're a college town. So a lot of people, at least a month ago, a lot of the cases here were kids. And it's like, you're indestructible when you're in college, okay? You're not that smart. I remember when I was college age, for one, you're probably going to be okay. You have about a 99% chance at that age.
Right.
You're going to get sick. It's going to be like the flu. The problem is you're going to spread it to other people, but that doesn't matter when you're a kid. And the other people are people who just have to go to church and they don't probably believe it's real. And so I do understand it. It's just maddening, because, it's like, if we follow, what would happen if 90% of the people did what they need to do?
Yes. Yeah, that's the frustrating part. But and let me tell you, that is, I don't know if you had the actual test to just see if you have COVID now, but
I did.
Oh man, the first time they took what felt like a really long Starbucks coffee mixer, because they were running out of the real deal. So they had to 3D print ones.
Oh no.
So I had like a plastic one, and oh man, the first time they run that thing through and it hits the back of your throat, it's a sensation that I will say is uncomfortable. It does not feel natural. But I'm in front of my children, and my children have to get it done too. We're getting them done too. So I have to smile while this lady's like, I think she had like 1 foot up on the car door, and she's shoving it down my nose. Feels like a coat hanger going in.
And you're going, yeah, it's fine.
And I'm like, oh, it tickles. This tickles so much. Oh man! And then the second time we did it, it looked like a. I got the real deal, and it looked like a dish scrubber. It was like actual it really had like a little threads at the end of it on a stick, and so like a gun cleaner. Not that I have any guns or anything like that. And they stuck that bad boy through, and that had its own different sensation. That one, woo! I think my eyes watered to the point where my daughter saw that I was crying, and she was like, "This isn't going to go well for me. This isn't going to go." No. And I wasn't even crying. It was just that your eyes start watering.
Right.
And you're like, "Geez."
Just because it's your sinuses that they're shoving it.
Yeah. Holy. So
smokes. My test might have been totally bogus because it was not bad. Did
you do the spit one?
No, I did the one up the nose.
Oh, did you?
But it didn't. I've been tested for a flu before, and they did that nasty all the way up to the back of your brain. And she didn't really go that far up, and she swabbed around, and it was a quick. I had to have dental surgery. I talked about that on a different podcast, so I won't go into it. But I had to be tested in order to do this surgery because they were going to be at high risk going in like that. So. It just didn't seem like that big of a deal. So I'm going to tell maybe they just do it different in Oregon.
Now that I think back, I'm having flashbacks. Like, she did have like a Viking helmet on. I think her name was Nurse Helga. Well,
that was it.
So maybe now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to the right place. I'm going
so to completely change the subject or throw it back to where we were, because I'm interested more in this book. You didn't go fire sniper rifles for research?
I dreamed about it. There's some people that are on my list that I keep
in a rifle range. I didn't mean. Well, I didn't mean actually putting holes in people's house.
If you're going to do research, you got to double down.
You got to do it right. Yeah.
You got to find out.
You should be an actor.
How does it feel to kill a man?
How does it feel?
How does it feel to kill a man? And let me tell you, I got close. Watching TV, you get real close real quick. No.
You watch Barry, right? You watch Barry.
Oh, man, I love Barry. I'm not the Chechenians. Oh, my gosh. They're the most fantastic characters.
It's a brilliant show.
No, I did not end up killing anyone. I can't say it on a podcast because I would incriminate myself. But if someone were to kill people, there is a entire, and I'm not saying to do it, don't kill anyone, but if you were researching a book and you wanted to there's a lot more to think about than you think. If you listen to like any sort of true crime stuff,
which I don't, because it freaks me out, but I've always thought, but I always thought with a sniper rifle, if you're someone like you and I, in other words, you don't probably have much of a record, and no one you're not that well known, and you're doing it we're talking a mile away here. It seems pretty hard. It would seem like it'd be pretty hard to figure out who done it.
Now, you would think that. Yeah, you would think that, but there's just too much behind it, especially with ballistic experts nowadays. Ballistic expert can take a look into the wound, we'll say, I'm not a professional here, and tell you, obviously if they can get the bullet out, but they don't need to get the bullet out even if there's an exit wound. This is taking a dark turn, but they can tell you caliber sizes.
We're talking about a book.
We're just talking about a book. They can tell you caliber sizes, though, distances, and kind of figure out, like, from here, what's there. Go there, look up cameras, because I don't know if you know or not, in Chicago alone, Chicago is the most surveillance heavy city in the United States. I didn't know that until I moved away. Yeah, I actually learned that from listening to a true crime podcast. You're on everywhere. You're
Right.
on, you know.
Well, I know that from listening to not only several documentaries, but I've also the guy who's in Russia now, Snowden.
Yeah.
We're being watched right now. We're both on camera. It's probably not being recorded, but the NSA is able to look at it if they want to legally. That's what Snowden brought out.
I'm just waving to my CIA agent. My CIA agent assigned to me.
We're doing nothing. That whole that sniper rifle stuff. We were talking about a Netflix show. It was a Netflix.
Yeah.
But seriously, I have a friend who's very into guns and has been his whole life, and has done. He's actually a demolitions expert now for movies, but he's got quite the gun collection. I don't keep guns around my house for a lot of different reasons, but I do. If I was researching a book, I would figure out a way to fire a rifle.
I have a lot of buddies, one who's in the military, whose father is a big-time gun collector, and I have to admit, you go out, it's fun to shoot a gun. It's fun if you're just shooting a target. It's kind of neat.
It's kind of fun.
You know? That's as far as I want to take it. And I'll tell you, the reason I don't have a gun in my house, I'll shoot myself. That's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm more worried about
actually shooting someone else. Like
if someone were to break into
for
my
a lot
house,
of different reasons.
Right. If someone, right.
I mean, if some drug addict breaks into my house, he's not necessarily armed. He's all messed up. And I shoot him because I'm pissed off that he broke into my house. I don't know. I think I'd feel pretty bad.
Yeah,
I think I'd feel pretty bad.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be into
the regular Joe would feel very.
And I'd feel even worse if, when getting the gun out of the gun safe and loading it, I shot myself in the foot. That's
what would happen to me. I would shoot myself.
That's where I'd really be pissed off.
I would be so upset with myself.
He's so upset.
I did the job for him.
Exactly.
The guy in the bath salts would come and be like, "Oh, that was easy."
Oh man, I was just watching a show where that happened. I shouldn't say what show or how it happened, but someone shot themselves, and it was like, that is so, I don't know, it was just such a brilliant ending to that character because it looks so real. I mean, the way he did it seems so like, oh, that was perfect.
I wonder if we're talking about the same show. I've also seen one.
All right, spoiler alert. Nobody listen if you're still watching this show. It's Fargo, the latest season of Fargo.
Oh, see, I was not talking about Fargo.
Yeah, the latest season of Fargo. So if you haven't seen that, I won't say what happens, but it's just so like. And with all, Fargo really seems like it's directed by the Coen brothers, which it is not. But they really follow the pattern of the movie Fargo and of the Coen brothers. They really stick with it.
Did they do a great job?
They do an amazing. It's season 4 now. Season 4 was the kind of furthest away from the original, but it's different stories every season. And the season with Jesse Plemons, which I think was 3. Man, that's some of the best acting I've ever seen on TV. It's really, really good. It takes and they're good at telling a story through 9 episodes or 10 episodes. Like, they don't rush it, but it always pays off as if it was a Coen Brothers movie. It's really nuts.
So good. They're great. They're great. I was talking about on CBS, they have that series Evil. It's like a walking study in demonology. There is a fantastic build-up, and I'm totally spoiling it, and I'm not apologizing. Early on, there's like a school shooter sort of scenario, and the kid is being manipulated into going somewhere and shooting it up. And I'm like, oh, man, this is painful, because we've just had so much realistic stuff that has happened that is so fresh that I'm like, man, this is going to suck to watch this. The kid going into like the school or the workplace and shooting it up. And while the kid's pumping himself up and giving himself the finger guns, holding his real guns and posing, he blows his brains out.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, that is perfect. Actually, I approve. I approve of this, because I didn't want to watch this kid shooting up the school. Excellent.
They just end it.
There you go. That's how the episode ended. I was like, perfect. Mwah. Perfect.
Oh, man. That's
Bob,
funny.
I'm sorry if you collect guns. Talking to my CIA agent. If you collect guns, hey, I'm cool with it. Just, I don't collect guns. Anyhow.
Plus, it's expensive. That's an
It is
expensive
not
hobby.
cheap.
It's not
It
cheap.
is not cheap.
I mean, if you want to, especially if you're a collector, because you're buying nicer guns, you can. But even, I mean, just a basic gun is, to me, that's a lot of money. But if you're buying collectible guns, oh my gosh!
And they're on
Whoa.
believe it or not, an ammo shortage.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew
until
that
recently.
because I live in Oregon. This is one of the places that all the gun owners are like, yeah, we're just about out of this and out of that. It's like, oh man, and a lot of people like us. I hate to say, but there's been a big rush from, especially as the election neared, more and more people on the left thought they might need a gun. Because we're all being pushed towards this idea that there could be a civil war, which I'm now relaxing into. Okay, maybe there won't be, but I could see how it could happen. And so a lot of people which is even scarier, a lot of people who've never owned a gun are out buying guns, and that's kind of the worst.
Well, to be the flip side of the coin, my wife was at work and someone she stumbled upon the fact that they were a doomsday prepper, and that's how I got this information that there was a ammo shortage. And my wife thought she was joking. She was like, "Oh yeah,
no.
I'm gonna get my guns too." And the lady's like, "No, seriously, there's an ammo shortage.
Yeah,
you gotta think about that." And my wife was like, I have a garden in the back. I've got a couple of things of lettuce and peppers. That's my doomsday plan."
Exactly. We don't have a very good one either.
No, I'm in trouble.
This is the one part of The Walking Dead that I always am kind of bitching about. It's like, you guys are, the doomsday happened, the zombies happened, the zombies ate, 80% of mankind. You got guns and ammo everywhere, guys.
Right.
You're not running out.
House.
Going to anyone's house. There's bullets. There's guns. Come on. Plus, you're in Texas. First, you were in Austin or something. Not Austin. I don't know, somewhere else that I'm sure has a lot of guns.
It's wild.
Come on.
You know, I follow a couple British writers and authors who have great sense of humors, and they think, and I think justifiably so, that we are psycho.
Yeah.
They think that we are.
I think that's justifiable, and it's actually I think it's a bit sad because a big part of it is fear. That's what I attribute it to. Is
for sure.
Big part of it. I mean, part of it is probably a fascination with the whole Western thing. Everyone wants to be a cowboy,
right?
But it's definitely fear based when thousands of people go out and buy guns and ammo. Because politics isn't going right.
I mean,
wow.
It's crazy. I heard someone who was honestly talking about why they bought a gun. It was a piece on NPR, and they were asking a couple of people, and one person's like, "Be honest, I don't know why I did it." And they're like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Like, I had this fantasy that because I'm white, minorities would come and burst through my door.
No.
And they would
Oh my God.
They would string me up and tear me apart in pieces. And now I'm thinking about it. That's not what would happen. I don't know why I bought a gun. I feel really stupid. And I was like, I was thinking in my head, I was like, part of me thinks you are the stupidest person in the world and you deserve all the wasted money that you had of that. Yeah. And then another part of me was like, but I do appreciate you being honest. And actually, now that I'm thinking about that, I bet you there's some people out there listening who are also like secretly nodding their heads that they also thought something that's stupid,
right?
that this was going to turn into something goofy like that. So,
well, and I have these thoughts, fleeting. I hope they're fleeting. Of wow, if there's a civil war, do I really need to go out and buy a gun? And then I come to my senses and I think, well, I'm not going to go buy 5 guns, and that's what the people that I would be up against have. These guys I've seen on the news. Thankfully, I haven't seen one walking around the streets yet, although close enough. They have more. They're fully armed. And I'm sure not going to do that. So I'll wait till one of them's on the ground and pick up one of theirs.
So here's my thing, and my buddies who have guns always argue this with me, and we go into these fun loops. And luckily, we all have pretty good sense of humor. So by the end of it, we've either had a couple beers and we're laughing, or we're just like, okay, agree to disagree. It doesn't always work that way, but their whole thing is, well, they love to get in those extremes. If a bad guy came and he's got a gun pointed to you, and there's a man walking down the street, do you want him to have his FOID card and his conceal and carry, or do you want him to just run? And I'm like, honestly, I just want him to run, because I already got one dude pointing a gun at me. And now I got another dude who thinks he's Superman, who's going to pull out the gun. There is a good chance that dude's going to shoot me too. I've got two guns shooting at me.
Yeah.
And I've been held up at gunpoint before, and it is scary.
Oh, you have? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm from Chicago, baby.
Right.
It is scary, but I was with another guy who's now a cop, real cool dude. But I always think about, if he had a gun, would that have been worse? And I think it would have.
And ask him, because he will tell you, and just about any police officer, chief of police, people in law enforcement, especially statisticians, will tell you, your chances of being shot if you have a gun go way up.
Oh, for sure.
There are more people shot with their own gun in their home than shoot anyone.
Just look at all the YouTube bloopers. All you have to do.
Yeah, but even it's like you're saying, if you start going for a gun when you're being held up, you're probably going to get shot. If the best thing to do is probably what you did, which is comply. That's the thing. It's not. Yeah. It's very unlikely it's going to be like you think.
I talked him out of it, and I understand there's going to be times you can't talk a person out of it. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say I talked him out of it. He wanted to get in the place that we were working at.
Okay.
We worked at a Hooters. You should have saw me in those shorts, Joel. I looked so good. No, we were
and the top.
We were the nighttime cooks, and they waited for us in the parking lot for it to close. And he hopped out with the gun, and he's like, "Get me in there!" And our manager, spineless manager, runs in and locks the doors on us.
Oh man!
Yeah, totally. So my buddy and I are sitting there like, shit, and we're in college, and we're like, he's not going to let you in. He's hit the alarm, and I wasn't kidding when I told him, like, listen, there's a lot of cops that hang out here. Cops love Hooters. Cops love Hooters.
That's shocking.
I know.
You're shocking me now.
I know. I mean, we would have half of the restaurant would just be just different police. You never felt so safe, but and yet so scared. But no, I was like, listen, a lot of cops hang out here. You need to get out of here ASAP. You're not getting in. And he did say, like, I should shoot you both. And Kyle just kept. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name. Ken. He had his hands up and he complied. But I always am afraid, like, dude, what if my buddy had a gun? I think one of the two would shoot me. I think, because I was right in the middle of them. He was in the back. Yeah, I was like, I would be dead. And so that's my answer. I'm like, I don't want two idiots with guns. I just also stick to one.
It's pretty nuts. I mean, now you can see gunfights on YouTube and stuff. And there's just, whenever you hear a report about a real actual gun battle, there are so many rounds fired, and maybe one of them will hit somebody.
It's crazy.
Like when the police shoot somebody, a lot of times they fire 20 rounds between, one or two cops, and they hit the guy once or twice, with him firing back and not hitting anybody. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And pretty crazy.
So here's my anyone who might have had any respect left for me is probably going to lose it with this one, but I understand. I don't have a gun. Not a big fan of guns. They're fun to shoot, but I think they're a bad idea. I understand that we can't get rid of them. They're in the freaking Constitution.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger question than that of why we can't get rid of them. It's more they're so embedded in our culture.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree.
It is.
We can't get rid of them.
You can't get rid of it.
It's like saying you're going to get rid of the NRA.
Right.
I said that wrong. The American Rifle Association.
National right? No, you said it. You said it right.
Okay, because I was
rifle.
thinking of the army, the Irish Liberation Army. But
Yeah.
that's the IRA.
IRA.
Anyway,
That's the IRA.
we're not going to get rid of them because they have too much power, and even if there was a way to switch them back to their original purpose, which was gun safety, that's what they were originally about, and now they're about gun sales. But even that's not. I agree with you. It's not going to happen.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Happen.
I'll take that. Like I tell people
Or
all
a
the time,
nuker.
and they look. Right. I tell people who are politically aligned with me. I hate that word, but I think that's a dividing word. But who are politically aligned with me will say, and they get mad at me when I say it. I'm like, you're not going to get rid of guns. You're not going to get rid of guns. I think what we need to do is just not be stupid about it. Let's start fixing some rules. We're not going to become England, though I'd love to.
I would love to too, and that's the hardest thing for me is that I do think you're wasting time with a lot of gun legislation. The people on the side of you should be able to buy any gun anywhere, anytime. The people on that side have much better marketing strategies, obviously, because they have convinced people that any gun law means Obama's going to come to your house and take your guns away. They literally convince people of that, and they've said it for years. And when Obama became president, somehow it was easier. It was even a bigger scare. He's going to come to your house and take your gun away. There has never been legislation for taking anyone's gun away. There's even introduced.
Yeah, it is
not
easier.
Even introduced, but because of that mindset, you can't even get large magazines restricted. You can't even get different kinds of weapons that are only used for shooting people that have really no place in the average household. You can't even get those reduced or, made illegal to sell and manufacture in America. That can't happen. And to me, that would be a good idea. It would be a step. But that's not. I don't even see that happening.
I talked to a buddy of mine, and I put this quote in. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. I put this quote in A Dead End Job. He said, "Take it from me, a guy who's been in the military. The America has a serious gun problem." He said those guns that they used, those are man killers. They're made for one thing: to kill someone very quickly. I think people. It takes a pebble of effort to scare someone, and it takes a mountain of effort to get them to understand that I understand there's a fear that is easily excitable within you, and you want to be prepared. You don't want to be duped, but I don't think you're understanding the harm that it is doing to if you widen your gaze to everyone else. And that's the shame. You can't get through it. But guns aren't going away.
No.
They're not going away.
No.
They're not going away. I want them to go away. They're not going away.
I want them to go away. And I mean, there's the other side of it that the majority of gun deaths are violence against people who know each other. So
it's crazy.
It's also a bigger. It's like a bigger issue. It's made to be a bigger issue than it actually is. School shootings. That's psychopaths. Those are people who like something's wrong. Something clicked. Something's absolutely wrong. They've been going on throughout history. People did this with axes and knives at one time. So it's not new. It's just that the weapons are so much more sophisticated. But if you look at the majority of gun deaths, they're people shooting each other in arguments and orb gang related stuff. It's very little of robbers shooting someone or being shot. It's very little of muggers shooting people. That's far less likely. So the average person who's just on the street, it's much less likely of to actually being shot.
And let me tell you, I'm a person who got a gun held to him. I still don't want a gun.
Right.
I still don't want a gun.
And you still don't want a gun.
I don't want a gun. I don't want a gun. I'm scared of people with guns.
Right. I lived in L.A. and I always was nuts when. Well, I had some road rage issues. I mean, I was yelling at people before, and it's very dangerous there.
I served my time.
It's freaking dangerous to do that. And I sat in a room, one place I worked with a group of younger guys who were minorities, and they were all telling their stories being shot. they grew up in LA, and they all had a story of being shot. And none of them, it was all random. It was all like people just shooting them because they thought they were somebody else, or who knows. Like one guy was shot through his door. He has no idea why. Through the door of his car. No idea why. Guy drove up and shot through the door and drove off.
Crazy.
It's totally nuts.
For my first day at a job as a manager, a district manager for a place, I was working with, you had a staff about 105 people, but like from the lowest level, like the valets and stuff that we were working with, you know, they were kids in college and stuff like that. And I had the same thing happen to me. I'm just lined up and saying who I am. We're all talking, and very casually. They weren't trying to like scare me or anything like that. We're just talking. And, you know, I must have, someone brought up something about like a bad area. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get shot. And a couple of them, same thing. We're like, no, you don't. And they literally like pulled out. They were pulling their shirts and like, I got shot here. And then it bounced down there. Just real good dudes too. And it's the same thing. Most of them were like, I was a teen, I got in a fist fight and someone started shooting us up. Or some of them were just like, dude, I was just walking down the street. Yeah. I was just walking. I am not affiliated with anything. It's really horrible, man. But,
It is. So on that light note, I did have a couple more. I have a couple more questions on my list. I don't have, it's not very solid, but just to lighten it up a little bit before we wrap it up.
Right. You know what?
We've been going a little longer than we planned. Thanks for listening. No, that's great.
I apologize, too.
That's what this podcast is about.
I'm old pappy right
it's
now.
It's okay.
Kids
I'm
and your
sure.
guns.
You kid, yes, right.
Right. But
so
anyhow,
I watched the thing on YouTube that you were talking, and I'm wondering if you've been walking around naked in the neighborhood lately.
Lately, you know what? See, now the problem is I have children, and it's not so much that I'm afraid of walking around naked. I just don't want it to be where my kids are ashamed of me because it's cold out. And
it's so interesting. No. I always wonder at what age, because I don't remember, I was really young. At what age do you start, being embarrassed walking around naked? Because there's that beautiful time when you're little that it doesn't matter at all. And then at some point, society kicks in, and you got to put clothes on.
It's so tragic. My poor daughter. She loves running around naked. Poor girl. She's 3.5, and we are starting to tell her the kid, you got to put clothes on story. And she's starting to get it, and it hurts every time you have to tell her because she just doesn't understand. And there's this beautiful innocence to it that she's like, what's the big deal? But you have to break her heart. And for her, it's getting to be around 4. I think parents especially, we step on the gas to really brainwash them if they haven't been brainwashed already before they go to school. So
right, that makes sense. Yeah,
because you don't want to be
that parent or
naked Nancy over there. So you don't want to have that. Right. So I think it's right before school. But my poor daughter, you see it. She's like, this is a dumb rule.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Naked's cool, man.
Because she's still got all her, she's still smart.
She's still innocent. She doesn't understand. So I had to tell her, like,
it's a weird rule.
You're right. Naked is cool, but it makes some kids uncomfortable. So
I mean, as we get older, it's a better rule. But
right. Oh man.
When we're still young, it's a silly rule. It's a silly rule. So did you? On our last podcast, you were in between agents. Did you get a new agent for your new book?
No, you know what? Parliament House. So I have 2. This is the problem about books. Actually, we're still talking about that same thing. Publishing world is slow. So I already was in the mix with Parliament House. I tried to get an agent with Parliament House, I started to get a agent when Parliament House said they were interested. So I said, let's just do it without an agent with Parliament House. But literally what we talked about months ago, because the publishing world is so slow, those 2 books I'm still looking for an agent for, I haven't even heard back. You will write an agent and say, hey, check this out. I've got this manuscript. Here's the nuts and bolts of it. What do you think? I have gotten replies 7, 8, 9 months later, and this is common. Ask any writer that's like, just opened your email, want to let you know, thank you so much. And you might have already gotten it to an agent or a publisher. And like,
oh, wow.
you know, and maybe send me a little bit more and I could get back to you in another 3 months. I mean, if you are in my, I don't even know how to describe this. If you are in my world, my level where I'm not a newbie, I'm a mid-level career writer.
Yeah, you're not doing it from your garage or anything, or you're not doing it at night with your spare time. You're doing it.
It is my full-time job, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing it from my side and you're really trying to do it right, get ready because it is so slow. You're going to hear back from an excited publisher in 4 or 5 months. You're going to hear back from a agent who, even if they're interested, they say anywhere from 6 to 9 months usually. Wow. So I am literally still exactly where I was before, where I've sent out to agents and said, hey, this is what I have. What do you think? And I'm still waiting for them because the market's flooded. The market is so flooded right now. And especially, I mean, you write and you might be telling lies, but it's to tell the truth. And right now, I think a lot of people, with how politics are going, how COVID's going, how gun control's going, all the things that I've been whining about today on the podcast. There's a lot of people who have these strong emotions. So there's a lot of people who are actually writing a short story, a novella, or a novel. So especially now, they were already flooded. Agents are extremely flooded, but I am excited. I have a couple that last time I talked to you, I'm hoping they reach out to me because if you listen, we could start a beautiful thing. But I think I've heard back from one agent who said, send me your manuscript, and I'm interested in looking at it more. And that means another 6 months.
Wow. That's amazing.
So we'll get there. But agents in the publishing world, yowzer. It's interesting.
And the last thing I did want to touch on, because I think this is important, because my wife doesn't watch it. Mandalorian. You liking it?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you. How much? We got another hour?
Oh, good. That's I really think it's the best Star Wars.
So
and I'm a big fan of the first 3, that being 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
So I'm blown away by it.
So my wife is a little bit younger than me, 3 or 4 years, nothing terrible, but she grew up on the tail end of episodes 1, 2, 3. And I understand I grew up on 4, 5, and 6, and I have a distinct advantage. 4, 5, and 6 can do no wrong, right? Because it was the fundamentals, it was the foundation.
Yep. Still, I mean, even though for me a big part of those was one, episode 4, the writer-director is a struggling artist. And
right.
He's working a lot harder, and the cast is just amazing. I mean, he picked the right people. It so works.
Even the stuff that was dumb in 4, 5, and 6, because it's the originals, it is not dumb, actually. It's just a beautiful part of the culture. So I get it.
Right.
I get it that there is a disadvantage for anyone who wants to build off of that. And 1, 2, and 3, my wife, I bash it all the time, but she's like, give it a chance. Compared to 7, 8, 9, compared to 7, 8, and 9, we can actually, I look at that and I'm like, fine, yeah, we're cool.
That's interesting, because 7, I liked 7 better than 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 is unwatchable to me. Like somebody said, go back and just watch the duel between. I can't remember who it was. I can't even remember the characters because I so.
Darth Maul
it was Darth Maul and Obi-Wan. Go back and watch the. And so I literally tried. I went to the battle and I was still like, I can literally see the CGI. I mean, I can see what they did. Every scene, it kills me because
4, 5, right, and I'm with you. I'm with you. So 4, 5, and 6, I grew up on them. They're the babies, and I might have an unfair advantage as far as, well, of course it was the best because, well, they started everything. So I get that. But what you've proven, what like Rogue One proved, and I don't know, did you like Solo? Some people like it and some people didn't.
I was lukewarm on it. I really think, honestly, well, for one, it's hard for me to look at another actor in that role.
Right. And that is everyone's hiccup.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest hang up. And I didn't think they picked the right actor.
Right.
And that I know kind of how Hollywood works, and I know they might have picked the right actor, but that actor maybe couldn't do it.
So hard to do. It's so hard to do.
Really hard to do.
Like that actor actually is a pretty well-known actor.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
I'm not saying he didn't do a bad job, but he was
not at all. But
he was not my Han.
Exactly, wasn't Han.
But like Rogue One, and I would say Solo, some people hate it, some people didn't mind it. I am lukewarm with it as well. But they proved that you can still do it right.
It could be done because Rogue One, I would take over 7, 8, 9. Is that what they are?
Right.
Rogue One to me was one of the better of the new. Yeah. It's fun. It's another fun one.
Right. So,
but watching The Mandalorian,
and then Jon Favreau was like, "Hold my beer,"
right,
and just knocked it out of the park. I mean, I can't believe how every episode it just gets better. It gets better every time. I watched episode 1 and I was so doubtful. I had my hater glasses on. I'm like, "This is gonna be dumb. What's this show about Boba Fett? No, you can't do this show. He's dead." Even though I know he's not dead. I know all the books and stuff like that. But I was just frustrated because I thought Mandalorian was going to be about Boba Fett because I didn't really want to read about it because I was frustrated. And I was immediately surprised. It's not about Boba Fett at all. And then every episode was really good. Got better. The characters started to develop. They started mending old bloopers from 7, 8, 9 that like confused the hell out of me. And Jon Favreau now is single-handedly repairing Star Wars culture.
A lot of damage.
I mean, it is. And my buddy and I were talking about it. My army buddy that I was telling you about before, and we're like, I get to relive what I love about Star Wars. It's 4, 5, and 6 reborn. Pretty much when you watch these, but even better in some ways because it has like an old Shogun / Western style feel to it, while still nailing all the beautiful culture, expanding on canon characters that you haven't seen on screen. And I don't know what they're going to do in 10 episodes from now because you can't keep getting better. But it is. I don't know how they keep doing it, but every episode I'm like, this one's not going to be as good. This will be a filler episode.
Nope.
And then I watch it and I'm like.
Yeah,
I'm picking up my phone, calling my buddies. Did you see it yet? Did you see it yet? But oh my gosh, great, fantastic, and I absolutely love how very famous people are just showing up for any cameos they can. Like I didn't even know John Leguizamo was in one of them. I was watching the credit.
I had to look that up.
So I was like, where the hell was he?
I vaguely recognize the voice. Like that's a familiar voice.
Right.
And so I look it up. I'm going, you're kidding me. You are kidding me. And I guess Carl Weathers is a director. So I think that's why.
Is he?
He directed I think the latest one. So he probably has directed a lot of TV. A lot of these actors go into directing. That's why you don't see them. So like Jonathan Frakes, he's a director now. But I can't agree more. Can't agree more. And the fact that someone can do that role with no face, it's genius.
And you feel his expressions while he's doing it.
Right.
I mean, that's how good he is. But even some of the actors are getting some of my favorite people. I almost peed my pants. I knew it was him immediately. Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, right.
The opening for
and
season
of course
2.
he plays the sheriff.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, it's Space Bullock. It's Space Bullock.
It's hilarious. Space Bullock. He just got off the LA movie.
Yeah, like I saw
playing
the
a sheriff.
I saw the Seth Bullock walk with
Yeah.
the Boba Fett helmet, and I was like, no
It's
way.
pretty
Is that
funny.
Timothy Oliphant, and then he takes off his helmet, and it was. But I mean,
Oh, you recognize it before he took the helmet off?
because he has that
yeah.
walk. He's got
Right.
this kind of like mean but pseudo like sachet kind of walk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, but Jon Favreau and Cass. I mean, he's the man. But he's got so many different directors too. I think another favorite is come on, what is his name? He's come on, I know your name. I've said it multiple times. He's from New Zealand. Tiki Waititi. Sorry. He's fantastic. I don't know if you've ever checked out What We Do in the Shadows, but him and just a couple other directors.
I haven't seen that yet. It looks really good, but it's on one of the services I don't have, and I'm so sick of ordering services. I mean, I literally got Disney free trial to watch The Mandalorian, and because I thought, okay, I'll check, whatever, I'll check this out. And one of the reasons, quite honestly, is because when I worked in TV animation a long time ago, they used to tease me for looking like the character you just named, and I didn't even realize who he was. The Mandalorian from Star Wars.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Yeah, they used to say I look like Boba Fett, and I was like, what? 'Cause I wasn't a big enough fan to even know who that was, and I always thought that was the strangest thing. How do that's not possible. But I got teased by these artists that I look like Boba Fett, so I had to just check. I thought the same thing. I thought he was at least going to be in it. And first episode, I was completely hooked. I also thought
good.
I also thought Baby Yoda would be too much for me. Like I'm a grown man. I don't need to watch it. But it's completely hooked.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think adding Baby Yoda, Grogu.
Grogu, yeah, we know.
It adds
Grogu,
it adds to the Jim Henson feel to it.
Yeah.
They could have CGI'd it, but they were like, no. We got to do this old school.
It's funny because I saw an interview with, I saw behind the scenes with Jon Favreau, and he was talking about how we're trying to do it old school. We're trying to do it like the original. We're using as many sets as possible. And I believed him. I thought, oh, wow, that's cool. He's using old green screen technology and they're building sets. And then I looked a little closer and no, it's all done like Iron Man. It's almost all green screen. They have a door maybe, and that'll be a set.
Right.
It's like, what do you mean exactly? But the design is like the original.
Yeah.
The design element is really, it looks right.
It nails it.
It nails it. Everything's old. It's torn up. It's it's not shiny. That was one of the problems with 1, 2, and 3. Everything was shiny and new. Nothing was scratched.
Right.
It was like, what? What is this?
Yeah, it's supposed to look dusty and old and used, and then just him repairing the culture and kind of explaining what happened to the rebels and beautiful. Anyhow, so if anything, we have from 2020 with all of the horrible fireballs that we've named, at least we have the Mandalorian.
At least we have the Mandalorian, and that's there you go. Now we end on an up note. I think I'm going to end it there because we could talk all night. I'd be happy to. I'd be cool with it.
You're going to have to hang up.
Okay. Cool.
We're like teenage couple. You hang up.
I'll do my wrap up. Here we go. Quick pause. This has been Were You Still Talking? And today on my show, I've had Joel Albrecht, that's me, and Justin Alcala, the author, back for a second time, now known as friend of the show. Thanks so much for coming back. This has really been awesome, man.
Thank you for having me.
This has been good. And like I always say, be good to each other, especially after listening to this podcast, and be good to yourselves because it's weird out there. There we go. Gonna stop the recording. Awesome.